Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Egg Wars. Episode 7 now we're on. We've been going at this pretty good. I'm sorry I didn't really get it uploaded at a very good time today. I'm sure by the time I finally get this uploaded, it'll be like super early Sunday morning. So today, let's see here, anything to get off the bat right away. Let's just make sure I get these shout outs so I don't forget. Shout out to my boys Arto, producer Chris, and Minister Random. Their channel links are in the description as always. Those are my dudes. You know, we're all trying to make it in this crazy YouTube world, so if you want to check them out, also always remember to make sure to smash my motherfucking like button, of course, as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't really think I have much else to really get to today that I can think of. So, I was trying to think today, I was like, what do I want to talk about? You know, this is really why I ended up having it be so late. You know, having to be in the middle of the night again, because this is when it happens, it's like I just don't know what I really want to talk about. So earlier in the day I was thinking about, you know, I want something kind of heavy, something that I haven't really talked about in detail. I want to kind of dig deep a little bit, you know what I mean? I want to dig deep a little bit down in the soul. So at first I was thinking about talking about the experience. This is a story that I've never really told because it just is a very, very emotional story, and it was a story about the first girl who I ever slept with from 4chan, and you wouldn't think that it would be that much, but like basically the way I see it is because I had gone so long without female contact. It was almost like, you know, basically losing my virginity all over again. It was like many, you know, it had been years since I had any contact with female. That's kind of the way I see it, so I get kind of emotional about it actually in a way. So I was trying to think, I was like, well, I don't know if I really feel like doing that. So I thought about what else do I not really talk about a lot that's kind of emotional that I could maybe dig deep down in and talk about. And that's going to be the first part. I'm going to discuss my experience with heroin. There was only ever one situation where I did heroin. I've never been an addict, but I don't like to talk about it a lot, obviously, because people kind of want people to like think I like, you know, some kind of druggie or something. And then after that, I'm going to be doing a reading that has been requested of my senior paper that I wrote in high school called How Jesus Saved Earth from the Decepticons. So I'm going to do a reading of that as well. So I guess this is probably going to be about another 30-40 minute video. But let's get right into it in any case so we can just, you know, not waste too much time. So, of course, I got to make sure I'm sipped up, of course. Alright, so the year was 2015. Now this was prior to the Oregon incident. See, actually I don't have any merch of it on hand, surprisingly enough. But anyways, well actually, oh here, this is unprecedented. I'm standing up. Grab this, just to give you an idea. I had gone to Canada for the 2015 Fan Expo. This is my complimentary tote bag I got while I was there. And also I still have this super sweet sticker of the 6 Expo 15. It's a little bent, but some guy wrote this on the street for me there. Still haven't stuck it to anything, but one of these days maybe. Unprecedented. In any case, so I had been to the Fan Expo in Canada in 2015, and it was a really groundbreaking sort of experience for me because I had never done anything like that. I'd never driven. I drove into Canada from Michigan, which was something I'd never done. You know, I drove through Chicago. You know, I drove across, you know, from the Midwest up to Michigan, up through up that way. Drove up into Canada. I didn't have cell service at all. I didn't have cell service. Which I was supposed to. I paid to have you know, so much available in Canada and in Mexico. You know, this international plus or whatever it was, or not, whatever the hell they called it on my phone plan. But I still didn't have service. So I was fortunate enough though that I was able to find my way just from the signs. You know, I was able to basically get on like the 101, take it to the 102, and take it into Toronto. And when I got there, I was able to, you know, there was places like Starbucks and stuff where I could, or McDonald's, I think is what I really used, was McDonald's, to get the Wi-Fi, to kind of get all the shit I needed on the Wi-Fi, and then kind of leave and have it like that. So I was finding ways to go about, you know, doing what I was doing. And I was up there, and I mean, I had a fantastic time. I got to meet, you know, another thing that happened up there was, for the first time ever, I got noticed in public on the streets for being Eggman. You know, this was before Oregon. This was just off, you know, 4chan shit. I'd never had anything like that happen in my life, so it was really You know, that fucking blew my mind. I got to meet up with people who knew me, male and female, and hang out, and it was lots of fun. It was just a great time, you know, just a great time. But after it was over, after Fan Expo was over, then I kind of started to get a little bit of this thing that I get, you know, where I'm somewhere and I'm having a good time, and I don't really like my life, so it's like I don't want the good time to stop. And this was probably the first time I could really think of that this happened. Because I never had a reason to go anywhere before I was Eggman, you know what I mean? Like, where am I going to go? I'll go see a relative somewhere, you know what I mean? Like, I had no reason to be anywhere or do anything, you know? I had no life outside of my computer, so there were, you know, just no social anything, you know? So, anyway, I was up there, and the day comes for me to leave, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, I just didn't want to leave. I just didn't want to leave. I wanted to go see Niagara Falls. I wanted to go to Toronto Island. I wanted to go to see. I hadn't seen the museum. What is it? The Royal Toronto Museum, wherever the hell it is. I don't remember now. I went up there. They had this Pompeii exhibit that was fantastic. I still have a bunch of photos from that. And all the stuff I hadn't done yet, and I was like, no, fuck my worthless, shitty wage cuck life. I want to do more of this. And I'm in Canada, and my fucking money's worth like, you know, 50% more in Canada. So fuck all that shit. I'm just gonna be in Canada. So I went to the hotel, and I'm like, how much longer can I stay? And they're like, well, we have this conference coming up in like 6 days or whatever, so we can push you out 6 more days. Have you booked 6 more days, but then you got to go. Okay, sounds good to me. So I'm there. I'm doing shit, but at the same time, I'm feeling really depressed because, like, you know, I was just like, oh, God, I just, you know. I was fearing having to go back to my worthless, shitty life that I hated. You know, having so much fun up here and stuff. So sometimes I was even feeling suicidal about it. You know, I was feeling kind of like during the day, I would be like doing stuff. I'd be like, oh, I'm out. I'm doing stuff in the day. I'm having a good time. And then at night, I'd go back to my hotel room and I would fucking sometimes I'd cry. You know, I bought alcohol. I'd drink and just lay in bed and fucking cry. I'd be like, God, I just don't want this to stop. You know what I mean? Which, you know, it wasn't like what I was doing was just like, oh my god, the best thing ever. It was just like I hated my life so much that like any fucking ounce of happiness I could squeeze out of it was just great. You know, this was post Black Pill video. This was post Year Without Normies video. You know, I just fucking was miserable, unsatisfied with my life, and I was finding something that gave me some happiness. So I was like, fuck, you know, I wanted this. So I think it was probably maybe, I can't remember, I want to say like second to last day up there, maybe second to third to last day, something like that. And I get hit up by a guy, and he goes, oh shit, I heard you're in Canada, Eggman. Heard you by Toronto, Eggman. I'm like, yeah, I am. What's up? And he's like, oh, you know, I'm kind of around there, man. We should definitely hang out. And I've been hanging out with people already, so I'm like, okay, yeah, dude, for sure. What's up? Yeah, let's go. And so he's like, all right, well, I'll get back to you. And then, like, you know, a little bit later, he's like, all right, well, I got to work today, but, you know, pull up over at, you know, I'm going to try and obscure some information here because I don't know, this is a couple years ago now, but I don't want to, like, you know, I ain't trying to dry snitch on nobody, you dig what I'm saying? So he basically is like, okay, I got a spot with my buddy, pull up over to this spot with my buddy, you know, and go hang out with him for a little while. Once I'm off work, then we'll meet up. Okay, sounds good. So I go over to this guy's place, and it's not, I mean, at the time, there was this horrible road construction in Toronto where it was just fucking ridiculous. I mean, when I first came into Toronto for this shit, it took me hours to even get into the fucking city. And I'm already not good with directions, and I didn't have my GPS working because I didn't have fucking, you know, I was able to get some stuff off of McDonald's Wi-Fi, like I said. But, you know, I'm very, like, I need to always be knowing, like, every fucking turn, everything, you know. So that was already rough enough as it is. So anyways, I'm heading out of this area, and it should only be, like, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes, I think, and it's, like, over an hour. It's just ridiculous. So I get there, you know, I pull up, and it's a very kind of generic-looking area. I mean, like, you know, it's like, it looks like a nice kind of middle-class neighborhood, whatever, so I'm pulling up. I'm like, all right, I think I got the right spot. Anytime, you know, this happened so many different times, because I've met up with so many people now in the last, you know, few years, so many people off this 4chan internet stuff. Like, you know, I'm just so used to pulling up places, I have no idea where the fuck I am. But, you know, so I'm like, I'm pulling up, and I'm like, I think this is it. So I get out, you know, and I'm just fucking kind of standing there, and I'm kind of like, you know, inch up a little bit to the door, and you're like, you know, fuck, somebody gonna notice me? Should I knock? And then, like, sometimes these places you knock, and there's, like, some other person there, and they're like, who the fuck are you? Da-da-da. But I believe, you know, I kind of was there for a little bit, and the guy ended up coming out. I don't remember if I had to knock or not. Whatever. In any case, it worked out pretty good. So So he comes out, we have a cigarette, we're just chilling. Hey, what's up, dude? You know, he's like, oh yeah, I know, I've seen you on 4chan, dude. What's up? You know, and I'm like, yeah, cool. Good to meet you, man. You know, he's a cool dude. So we go inside, and we go to, you know, his spot, and we're just kind of chilling. And you know, he's like, oh, you know, I do some music stuff, I do some video stuff. So he's kind of like showing me what he does, and like, oh, it's pretty fucking cool. And he's like, you know, oh yeah, I heard you rap. And I mean, this was already fucking 2 years ago. You know, I was, I didn't even have like, I didn't have any. I'm trying to remember what the fuck was even out back then. This was before I put out like Motivated. This was before I put out Get High and Fuck. So this was like, you know, shitty, fucking really shitty like stuff that I would like not be proud of today at all. But I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I spit a little bit. You know, I do some of that. So he, you know, we're just kind of chilling or whatever. And all of a sudden he's like, yo, dude, I got some, you know, he's like, this is, I call this the happy stuff. And he fucking like takes out this little container and he fucking starts cutting up lines of this dark powder. And at the time, like I said, you know, even going into this, like, each day was just like, I don't even care about anything. Like, I don't give a fuck about life at all. I want to just feel good. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, what is this? And he's like, oh, dude, let me tell you, this shit's just good. It makes you feel good. It's just a happy powder, dude. It's just fucking good. It makes you feel good. It makes life good. And I'm like, oh, well, shit. Well, I want to feel good. You know, fuck. I'm trying to do anything to feel good right now because I felt like horrible, like really, really down. I'm like, fuck, man, I'll do anything to feel good. He's like, all right, dude, I'll start you off on some small shit. So he cuts me up 2 small lines or whatever. We're fucking rolling up. Goddamn, I can't remember if we. God. Well, I feel like it was a dollar bill, but that doesn't seem right though. It was some kind of paper tube though. I think I don't think it was a dollar bill. Whatever the case was, I fucking do these lines. You know, I fucking go down. You know, make sure it's all there. Make sure, you know, do my lines. Kind of keeping it up. I don't know if I'm gonna get. I don't know. Like I don't think I've snorted anything up to this point. So I'm kind of, you know, I don't want to make sure it didn't fall out. You know, I was like, man, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So I take this shit, and I'm kind of like, okay, you know, I've done a fair amount of drugs in my life, so I'm kind of just like, but I never done, you know, there's certain things. This was at one point, you know, kind of like the no go. But anyway, so I'm kind of chilling there. I'm like, you know, all right, and I'm kind of chilling there for a minute. You know, I had like I think I had like a soda or something. But I was chilling there, and all of a sudden, as time goes on a little bit, I just get so fucking, like, you know how it is when you're high and you're just like trying to keep it together. You know, there's all these fucking memes out there of like aliens like slumped over in a chair and shit. I started to get like that, where I was just like, oh my god, I'm just like sitting there, I'm just like, fuck. I'm just like, I'm hot. I feel like so just super, super hot. Like my whole body is like fucking like feels like a furnace. I'm just like, oh fuck. And he's like still doing like, you know, he's all chill and everything, and he's just doing his thing, whatever. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, yeah, man, that's, yeah. And then I think we went out periodically for a cigarette a couple times, maybe. That's really going on. I was like, yeah, that's fucking, you know, just even moving at all, like I felt like everything was just like, oh. So I was like, yeah, have me a cigarette. That sounds good. And I'm outside, I'm just like having a cigarette, and I'm like, oh, you know, that's just like how I was. And I'm trying to think, whatever the case was, I don't think the other dude was back home from work yet, but we went down, there was like a store nearby, so we walked over to this store and got some snacks and some drinks and stuff, and I was like, yeah, some water, yeah, give me some water. And I had like some like fucking Doritos or some shit, I don't remember, some like little snack thing like that too, but I just like, you know, this whole time I'm just like, still, and like, you know, I bought some of these weird ass Canadian cigarettes. This was still before Lucky Strike non-filters. This is what I was smoking still, because like they still had these for sale where I was from, and this was like the last, you know, that's what I was smoking in the Black Pill video. You know, I bought out, you know, when it's discontinued, I bought out all they had left at the store. And so I had some, but I ended up smoking them all when I was in Canada, because people were like, oh my god, Canadian cigarettes are shitty, give me those fucking non-filter. Oh, that's good shit. Good times, but, so I bought some weird-ass Canadian cigarettes. They weren't very good. They're kind of, I don't think, like, people from Canada, they got some kind of, like, they have, like, some kind of fire-safe regulation or something that makes them shitty. I don't know. But anyway, so we're smoking cigarettes, we're fucking just chain smoking and whatever, and I'm just like, you know, I started to come down off like the really intensity a little bit. It was a little bit less like real intense. I was kind of like, you know, whatever. And then whatever the time was, the dude definitely came back from work, and then we all were chilling, and the guy's like, oh, I can't remember how this even came up, but he's like, oh man, let's go see a movie. Let's go see a movie. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's, you know, whatever, I'm good, you know, I'm feeling okay right now, so that's okay. So then me and these dudes, we go to see this movie. We watch a movie called The Visit, which is like this M. Night Shyamalan thing about, you know, spoiler alert, you know, mute me right now if you haven't heard it. I'll keep so you guys can't see my lips. The parents are these grandparents or whatever. They're actually fucking lunatics, escaped from a mental asylum, and they killed the real grandparents or some shit. And like the whatever. So like the parents drop them off with these grandparents, and then all the shit goes down once the truth is revealed, and it's like all scary. And the worst part is that I hadn't gotten sick this whole time after I had done this, and like just as it gets to like the apex climax, like one of like the scariest scenes or whatever, with like the grandpa and the male kid actor, like all of a sudden I was like, oh god, oh yeah, and so I fucking run out and go to the bathroom and I was fucking heaving, and I had this movie theater was like fucking luxurious. Now I don't even go to the movies anymore. This is probably like, I've probably gone to the movies like less than a handful of times since then. This was like, you know, 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. So I guess this is more normal now, where they have like restaurants in a movie theater. But I was there and they had like these fucking nice ass, of course, Canada, poutine. I ate poutine like every single day I was in Canada, I'm not gonna lie. It was some good shit. So I had eaten, and then I think maybe that upset my stomach, I don't know, because I had eaten already before too. But I go and I'm fucking heaving, I missed like the best part of the movie. But the dudes are in the fucking movie theater, in the actual theater with like the screen and everything, and the dude has the fucking garbage can that was from outside the front of, like, you know, you walk in, usually there's like a little garbage can outside of the door of your like specific showing, so that you can throw your drink or popcorn or whatever after you like walking out. He fucking brought the goddamn garbage down one of the aisles, and he's sitting on the far side of the aisle just so he could fucking like throw up if he needed to. It was fucking crazy. So he basically, I'm trying to think, we ended up, you know, going from the movie. We went back. We drove. The one dude drove, and like he had to go back to his place. So then he dropped me and the other guy off, and we were just kind of walking, chilling, having a cigarette, or whatever, just kind of shooting the shit, and just talking life, you know what I mean? And it's so fucking crazy, because like this story just sounds like some wild shit, you know, for me to just be like from one country and then be like in another country and fucking, you know, I'm going to a rave one night and I'm meeting up with random people one night and I'm getting fucking seen on the street and recognized one day, and I'm fucking, then the next day I'm fucking suicidal and fucking thinking about killing myself and getting drunk in my hotel room, you know, and the next day I'm going to Niagara Falls and all this different shit. But like, you know, then these people, like, you know, there's so many people who I've met off doing it in this internet stuff who I see once and I may never ever see them again in my life, you know what I mean? So it's like talking to these guys in their day-to-day life, like, oh, you know, yeah, I'm working this job, and yeah, it's kind of rough, and the hours suck, and, you know, and just kind of having a cigarette and just talking, you know, shoot the shit, and I'm about to, you know, hop in a cab and fucking drive back to this hotel, you know, 20, 40, whatever mile, however, 20, 30 miles away, whatever it was, and just be chilling again. I don't know, it's just wild, you know what I mean? It was a wild time. I'm glad to say that, you know, I realized at that time that heroin just was not for me. You know, people say, oh, if you don't shoot up, then it's not. Obviously, I could never in my life ever see myself doing anything like that, because I get freaked out by fucking needles and shit, dude. Like, so I'm not as bad about, like, you know, getting my shots and stuff as I was when I was a kid, because like when I was a kid I would fucking need like 10 people to hold me down just to get a goddamn flu shot. So I'm not that bad anymore, but the shit just freaks me out. Like, ugh. It's gross, I don't like it. So, you know, so it is what it is. You know, so I ended up, you know, we kind of shot the shit a little bit. I hopped in the cab, went back. You know, I was like fucking sitting there laying in my hotel. I'm just like, god damn, that was fucking crazy. You know, so it was a wild time. If you've heard me told that story before, there was probably some other times I've told that maybe I got a little more graphic about shit, but, this is gets you the gist about what happened. Alright, so now that we've finished that, I have had some comments from people in my videos. I mentioned in one of the other Egg Wars that, when I graduated high school, pretty much like the only actual assignment that I did was write a story for my English class, which was a fucking horrible class, by the way. The teacher who ran that shit was fucking psychotic, and she hated the kids because, everybody who's there, this is like I said, it's kind of like a delinquent sort of school. So it's like all the kids there have a lot of problems, and she was not very, she didn't really give a shit. Like, she was basically like, what I would like to consider like the educational equivalent of the probation system, to where like it's not, like the other teachers were actually there to kind of help people and try to keep them on the right path. She was more there to kind of like, basically like stare you down and wait for you to blink or flinch and be like, oh, you fucking piece of shit, and like hit you with some kind of disciplinary type of action to get you, because you could get like probation violation from this school. Like if you violated or whatever, you could be, because like there was, the way it was you could basically do all your work in like a month and graduate in a month. It was that you were given like your year's worth of coursework, and you had guys that were there that were 21 years old that still hadn't graduated because they just didn't give a fuck and weren't doing it. Like they would just do nothing. But you could get these disciplinary actions where you basically would be suspended from school for like a month or something like that. So she was just itching to hit people with this shit. So I'm glad that she kind of didn't care as much about me, although we did carve a swastika. She was Jewish. We carved a swastika into a table one time, and she fucking had like 10 heart attacks. So that was one thing, but I didn't get busted for that, because like, there was like 6 of us at one table, and there wasn't no snitching, so nobody got busted. Anyway, so I will now read to you the paper that I submitted to her class, which was so good it got an A, and she posted it on her wall. It's called How Jesus Saved Earth from the Decepticons by Mills Wood, May 2nd, 2010. One humid Sunday morning off the coast of Miami, Jesus was taking a day to sunbathe on his yacht. He had spent the last week performing miracles day in and day out, and was taking the sacred day for some much-needed relaxation. The ocean was relatively calm, and the sun was beating down comfortably on the glistening waters. Suddenly, there was a large explosion near land. Jesus tensed a bit in his lounge chair, but just let out an aggravated sigh and regained his comfort. Moments later, as he was flipping over to ensure an even tan, he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. He removed his sunglasses and he squinted to catch a glimpse of what seemed to be a raging fire on the coastline. Using his super-enhanced Jesus vision, he scoped out the scene. There was a large crater in the ground, encircled in flames. Some wary onlookers were pointing and seemed to be chatting incessantly. Jesus decided he could take a moment of his time to see what the problem was, and use his Jesus teleportation to arrive on the scene instantly. People swarmed him and started yelling rabidly, "Robots!" They screamed. "Robots? What kind of robots?" Jesus questioned, raising a single eyebrow at the thought. A single obese man wearing a fanny pack shoved through the mob and stared Jesus straight in the eyes. "They were Decepticons." The mob went dead silent. Jesus felt the hairs tingling on the back of his neck. Decepticons? Jesus swallowed hard. "Unmistakably. I would recognize that logo anywhere. It's all over my parents' basement." The obese geek nodded slowly at Jesus. "You know what to do. Live long and prosper." And with a flash of the Vulcan salute, the geek seemed to vanish from sight in the crowd. Jesus was no stranger to the Decepticons. He had done battle with them in Galactic Battle X-730 during the Zixth-Rocklickton War. I'm going to try and pronounce it wrong. Zixel-Throgian War. Alright, gotta make sure the lore is right here. Zixel-Throgian War. He had narrowly avoided destruction by their secret weapon, the Thronal Laser. He figured that he would be safe from their retaliation by warping to this unfamiliar universe and becoming a savior to a race of savage humanoids, but his safety was no longer guaranteed. In his flying solid gold castle, Jesus was perusing his personal library, looking for ancient texts to remind him of the weaknesses of the Decepticons. Once, they had been an unorganized gang of warbots. However, while Jesus was working his way up through the galactic ranks, a true leader had come to power. They called him Megatron. Jesus froze suddenly. Was Megatron looking for him specifically? Why else would they need to come to Earth? Jesus was becoming increasingly paranoid. He could not possibly defeat Megatron single-handedly. That night, Jesus slept uneasily. Thoughts of lasers permeating his castle walls made him toss and turn in a cold sweat. Finally, he shot open his eyes and glared blankly at the ceiling. The thought that 300 trillion millennia of work and memories could be taken in mere seconds by laser fire shook Jesus to his core. The next morning, Jesus decided to prepare himself in the event of a Decepticon assault. He went to his basement armory, and to his dismay, he had no galactic weaponry to speak of. He knew mere bullets would do nothing to the tough metal exterior of a Decepticon. His Jesus powers were exceptionally useful for healing and curing, but he lacked offensive ability. He came to the conclusion that he literally had no way to defend himself from Megatron. He flew his solid gold castle up to a remote corner of the atmosphere. If the Decepticons thought he was on land, he would be safe. He tried to relieve his cluttered mind with scotch and smooth jazz. It was always something he could do to settle down, even in the tensest situations. Suddenly, his stereo system began to emit screeching noises mixed with static. Jesus could feel his heart skip a beat when suddenly a voice became prominent over the static.
Jesus, this is a message from Megatron. I seek revenge upon you for aiding our galactic adversaries with your divine powers. Prepare to be eliminated. Resistance is futile.
A moment of tense silence ensued. Jesus could feel his heart pounding as drops of sweat began traveling down his face and collecting on his beard. Excuse me. Another screech.
Dear citizens of Earth, bring Jesus to the North Pole so that we may take him as a prisoner. If these conditions are not met, we will vaporize your planet. That is all.
Vaporize Earth? What good would that do? Jesus could just move to another planet. That was when it hit him. The planet did not matter. He could run forever, but they would find him. The chase would continue, and innumerable innocents would die. This would have to be where Jesus took his stand. He was visibly anxious, but in his heart, he knew it was what had to happen. He set his autopilot to the North Pole and put his feet up on the control panel. He repeatedly told himself that everything would be okay, but in the pit of his stomach he knew it seemed hopeless. He considered prayer for a moment, but instead chuckled at the bitter irony. As he neared the North Pole, he could see a Decepticon ship. It did not appear as though it was a battleship, but instead appeared to be a freighter of sorts. He landed his castle nearest he could to the ship's location. Upon doing so, he saw a trio of vehicles speeding in his direction. He let down the solid gold drawbridge of his castle and slowly walked out. The trio of vehicles changed into the nefarious Decepticons right before his eyes. He glared at them with a burning fierceness, but knew fighting back would be pointless. "I'm here. What are you going to do with me?" His words carried a strong undertone of hatred and desperation.
Why, we're gonna kill you, of course,
one of the Decepticons remarked with a rude tone. Jesus fell to his knees and was numb in the bitter cold. He thought of all he had done in his life, all the people he had saved, and all of the people who worshipped him. If only they could see him now, being made a joke of by giant robots. All of a sudden, the ground began to shake fiercely. The area under Jesus' castle began to crack wide open. Jesus turned slowly, only to see his castle elevating high into the air. It began to expand vertically, eventually splitting to make two leg-like structures underneath the main castle. Then two arm-like structures began to protrude from the sides of the castle. In all the time Jesus had owned the castle, he had never seen anything like this. That was when it happened. A head began to grow from the castle body. The Decepticons recoiled in horror, and Jesus just stared in amazement. Holy shit! It's a giant solid gold Optimus Prime. Seriously, where the fuck did you even get the... The Decepticons were cut off by Optimus Prime's giant eye lasers. They were instantly vaporized. Jesus walked to the foot of his giant golden savior. Have you always been able to do this? Optimus Prime turned his gaze to the earth. Indeed, I have. Jesus was speechless. Suddenly, Optimus Prime let out a mighty groan. Megatron is queuing with his wizard cleave. Gotta put on my PvP set. Q just popped. BRB. Jesus, faced with no other options, teleported back to the United States, where he met the president and spoke of his heroic deeds to an audience of billions. Meanwhile, Optimus Prime was off his game since he had just saved the Earth and everything. His pally lag and the sack was too late. Jesus may have died for your sins, but he didn't really die because he's just skilled like that. I mean, dissing Optimus Prime just to get some props from the ladies, that's some cold shit, bruh! Optimus Prime didn't even get rank 1 on Shadowburn because of that. However, he did get another gladiator mark on his Arena Junkies profile. Everybody lived happily ever after. The end. What a beautiful tale. Now, you're probably thinking that was a fucking horrible ending of the story. You probably don't even know what Holy Sacrifice is. If you weren't playing World of Warcraft Arena in the, whatever the hell season that even was. I don't even fucking remember at this point. Christ. Good times, though. Good times. If you don't know, I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft Arena. I think I mentioned it the other day that was in the cringe video. So that was what got me an A. I actually, another quick little part here, because I got a couple minutes here. I want to finish this quick, otherwise it's going to split into 3 video files instead of the usual 2. I actually got written up for suspected plagiarism when I was a freshman in high school, because I wrote a story very similar to that, where literally I just like cut it off like halfway through, and I was like, and then everybody died, the end. And they were like, well, you fucking just steal the first, 95% of this and this bullshit, this ending, to try and make it not plagiarized. Like, no, I wrote the shit for real. And then I got to do a public speaking of it for class. Another thing, I wrote a story one time for my 10th grade class, where I wrote this like awesome like post-apocalyptic drama, like, oh, it was like gonna be so like crazy and edgy and everything. And then all of a sudden, like, I wrote it like 5 hours before it was due. So I ended up writing the last part was just the fucking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song, because this guy was like going through the desert and like about to die. And then he's like, oh, I see something. The license plate said rare, and it had dice in the mirror. If anything, I could say this cab was rare, but I thought, y'all forget it, your home's to Bel Air! And then that was the end of the story, and I got like a fucking like D, because teacher was like, yo, what the fuck is this? This sucks. So I have a history of kind of just making everything anticlimactic, including my life. Alright. In any case, make sure to check out, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my friends, subscribe to me if you're not already. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this video because otherwise it's about to split into 2 files, and I just want to not have it or I should say split into 3 instead of the usual 2. And my friends, thank you for tuning in for Egg Wars number 7, and we'll see you next time.